Hello everyone and welcome back. My name's Helen Ernst and you can find me on Instagram at Till We Quilt Again. I first want to start off by thanking Mary and Charisse for including me in the tutorials that are being posted weekly. I am going to be doing ruler work. I've chosen to do straight line and a slight curve. This way it could be adapted to both a domestic and a long arm. I will be quilting this on my long arm, but most of you will be able to figure out how to do it on your domestic machines as well. There is one safety factor that I just need to pass on before we start. Rulers can be dangerous if they're not handled properly. So on a domestic, you would need to check to see with your manufacturer on what size shank that you would need, whether it be high or low. You can do this by contacting the manufacturer. Also on long arms, most that I am aware of have an extended base. It is very, very important to use that when you are using rulers. You would need that for the stability of guiding your ruler without it getting caught under the head and causing some major problems. But with that being said, let's get started. We are going to first start with a grid that could easily be done with a ruler. So now we need to get the grid onto the quilt so we can follow those lines. I'm using a drawing ruler that can be found at Michael's or I guess any of the craft stores. The reason I use that is it's super thin and I find that it's more accurate. For this petal, I'm doing a 1-inch grid going one way and then a 1-inch that will be going the other way. I'm using a air soluble just so that you can see it better, but I also do use a water soluble at times depending on how long you want your design to be on the panel. You'll see at the bottom of the screen I already have one drawn, and the reason why I've done that is because later on there's so many variations that you can do with this particular grid. I like drawing several on there. So now we're going to start sewing the line on the lines that we've drawn. I take a few locking stitches, then I take the straight edge of my ruler and start quilting. You'll notice that the ruler is not the full length. Then I stop and I slide it up, and then I will turn it and go into a different direction. You'll notice also that I'm using the curved side and the straight edge side. This ruler is perfect for this type of work, especially since the petals have a rounded edge to them. So you will see that I don't have a rhyme or reason for which direction I'm going, but I am just trying to fill in the area. Sometimes I have enough control that I can follow the stitching. Other times I do have to turn the ruler around. As coming up right now, there I'm going up the side. I just didn't feel comfortable doing it freehand. So anyhow, I know many will ask what ruler that is, and that is from stitchbystitchcustomquilting.com. What I like so much about it is that it has the straight edge and the curved side. When I'm out teaching, I teach a lot of people on domestic machines, and this one's the medium. But the smaller one seems to be the favorite amongst a lot of the people that are doing the ruler work on machines, and it's very popular. It's just the perfect size. But anyhow, I'm sure there's many other rulers out there, but that's why I like this one as much as I do. So anyhow, I'm just working my way around and just trying to get all those lines. So to our basic grid, we are going to add some vertical and horizontal lines, which is going to create a plaid look. So to my original grid, I am now adding a 1/4 of an inch line to each vertical line on the right-hand side. I have found for me, it's better to stay continuously doing one direction and then the other without mixing it up. I have a habit of getting confused. So usually whenever I'm doing work like this that is going to create something that looks like a plaid, I always go to the right of my original line, and then I go, when we do the horizontal line, I go under. So I always say right and top, or right and below. Then that way it helps me stay on track. So as you can see, I'm adding now the 1/4 inch below the original drawn line, and that is now creating the uniform plaid look that we'll be getting when we're done. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, what kind of batting do I use? So for these projects right now, I am using Dream Poly by Quilter's Dream Batting. There's 2 layers on it. That is my choice for doing panels, but there's many choices that you can use. As far as the thread goes, I'm using Wonderfill 80 weight. For me, I just personally like the 80 weight. It's thick enough that just doesn't create a big buildup, and most of the quilts I end up only using 2 threads, a light and a dark of whatever type of coloring. So on this one it would be an almost white and a dark gray. So I find that I don't have to change my threads a lot. It sinks so much into the Poly Dream that you hardly can even tell what thread it is. So now we're going to quilt out our plaid, and it is the same procedure as what we were talking about earlier with our single lines grid. And again, I take the shortest path possible. I'm not sure of a directional route that makes this the easiest. I just do what I do I sew what I can in the area that I'm at the time. And you'll notice I do backtrack as long as I keep my ruler in the same spot. Then you're going over the lines exactly. Sorry about my hand being in the way. Also my large watch, but I can't read the smaller ones, so that's why I went for the big one. The long arm that I'm using is an Anova 24. I've had several different machines over the years, but that is the one that I have at this time. I will soon speed this up since I'm sure you're getting the general drift of the straight line with rulers quilting. So here's a fun variation. We're taking the same grid, but we're adding squiggly lines to push back down the batting, and it looks like a checkerboard. This design looks great in a grid of squares or a curved ruler work. So you can take a straight grid or a curved grid and mark every other box with a blue water-soluble marker. As you can see, I've done here. Those blue boxes I quilted on, and now I'm removing the blue marker with water. It creates a very pretty texture, and it looks a lot more complex than what it is. So now we're moving on to curved cross hatching. You can see the top one is single lines and the second one is double lines. Right now, you are watching me slide the curved ruler across where I will be quilting. The reason I do that is I like to make sure that it covers the whole area. I just don't like to get caught short. I have, so that's why I always check that. So anyhow, here we are starting. We're going from side to side. You'll notice this time that there's no markings on the quilt because there are markings on the ruler that I'm following. If you're new to ruler or curved rulers, drawing it out is absolutely a great plan just so you can make sure that you have the arches going correctly. However, after a while, you will get that down. So what I'm actually doing is following the lines. There's engraved lines on those particular templates that I'm following along, and that is what's telling me the distance that I should be going each time I sew across. The ruler is from the Quilted Pineapple, and that is from Linda. There is a whole set of degree angles of her of her rulers. I own every single one. There is other companies that have rulers which are just as fine, I'm sure. However, what I like so much about Linda's is the degrees are the same both in the center and the outside. I use them a lot. So now that I've gone one direction with the ruler, now we're going to go the other way. So where I was up and down, now we're going to go left and right. Or, yes, left and right. You can also tell in this photo, if you look down where, down more towards the bottom, that my quilting is a bit off there. And that's okay because I can either come back and fix that, or I have echoed the petal twice, I guess that would be, once on the edge and then once on the inside. I could come in and put some kind of a fill in there if I want later on, or I can fix where I'm off. I'm not that worried about it because I can take care of it somehow. So just showing you that not everything's perfect. So here's an example of what I had just sewn doing every other block. So the same as we did with the straight line where we doubled the vertical and the horizontal line, that will be the same with this curved ruler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed it up so that you can see it in fast time. I just thought I would mention that if you look at the petal to the right of the petal that I'm sewing right now, that is a grid box, and then I just drew a line in between going across, and it just creates another pattern. So if you look to the petal to the left, you will see that I used the cross hatching there as well. I did a single line and then I quilted in every other line, just another variation. My thread ended up breaking, but here's the finished piece. Here's a great design tip. If you take some plastic plates from the dollar store and glue them together with some clear glue, they make wonderful templates for drawing out designs on your quilts. So here you can see, by seeing through the clear, you can go down to the next line, so it keeps it somewhat uniformed. And you can quilt, you can turn the design and make it a crosshatch. You can quilt it like this and put a design in every other row. There's just many options. Here is a design that was used drawing out with the plastic paper plates. And here I chose not to go crosshatch, but I quilted in between every other line. I've included some still shots of the quilts that are in this video so that you can see the different designs that you may want to take from this. I know a lot of girls are looking on Pinterest. I have made several other of these quilts, but I do not have any still shots. However, I might have them posted on my Instagram account. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and hopefully I can answer any of your questions.